Hey, everybody, and welcome to our weekly show. We call it Three Broke Guys Handicapping, where we review one of the top racing cars from around the United States. We will select a four-race sequence from that track and attempt to come to a consensus on a Pick Four ticket. Thank you for joining us as we enter the sweet spot of summer racing in the United States. Next week, we'll be at Del Mar for the Pacific Classic. The week after, Saratoga and the Travers. And this week, it's Arlington Million Day and the International Festival of Turf from Arlington Racetrack in Arlington Heights, just outside of Chicago, Illinois. The pick four starts with race number 6, and it finishes in race number 9. Once again, they are all stakes races, including the Grade 1 Arlington Million, the first $1 million race in the history of the United States. My name is Rich Sharp, and each week I'll be joined by my friends and racing analysts, Mr. Ray Torado, who has always joined us from Staten Island, New York. Ray, I'll give you the option. If you had one summer day to spend in Chicago, would you spend it at Wrigley Field or Arlington Park for the million?
I would definitely be at Arlington Park. So maybe
Yeah,
one
me
day
too.
we'll make a trip out there. That'll be one of for our bucket list.
All right, and from Temecula, California. All right, Joe, given the choice of our next three tracks, if you could only visit one track, Del Mar for the Pacific Classic, Saratoga for the Travers, or Arlington for the million, where would you be at?
Well, I'd love to go to the million. I've seen Saratoga, beautiful place. Been to Del Mar, obviously, many times. Also very beautiful. But just to see Arlington, I haven't been there. I haven't been to Chicago ever in my life, so it's a place I'd love to go. And Arlington would definitely be on my bucket list of tracks to get to see.
I gotta agree with you there. All right, now we're going to turn our attention to Arlington Racetrack in Arlington Heights, Illinois. Again, we do have someone who's working on doing our weather correspondence for us, so it's possible she could join us for tonight's show, but if not, for right now, I will handle hopefully our last weather update from a broke guy. In Chicago tomorrow, we have a forecast that's going to be cloudy with a stray shower or thunderstorm possible. There's a high of 83 degrees, winds at 10 to 15 miles an hour. So as far as Chicago is concerned, that's not too bad. There's a total of 9 races, six stakes races, and 3 Grade 1s on tap for Saturday. For tonight, we are focused on the pick four, beginning in race number 6 and concluding in race number 9 with the Arlington Million. Gentlemen, the gates are locked and loaded. Shall we go ahead and get started?
Let's go.
Hey, Rich, I have a question though. Does anybody know if it rained there today, and if so, how much?
All I know is when I pulled up the weather report, it did show that it had rained today, but I do not know how much.
Okay. But other than that, I'm ready to go. Let's go.
Race number 6, the American St. Ledger Stakes. It's a Grade 3 going 1 mile and 11/16 on the turf. This is $300,000 for 3-year-olds and upward. 11 starters and your morning line favorite at 9 to 5 in post number 5. It's the Big Hoss for trainer Michael Maker and ridden by Florin Giroux. You're going to hear that a lot tonight. Joe, last week Ray was closest to West Virginia, so he got to go first. This week it's Arlington Million Day. You're the closest to being a millionaire, so you get to go first.
Oh boy, if that were true. Okay. Anyway, I'm not sure where to go from there. I actually kind of like 2 horses in here, and one of the horses unfortunately is the favorite, the Big Hoss at 9 to 5 on the morning line. How many times have you heard him? They're running a mile and 11/16, yet he's cutting back in distance from the 2-mile race at Belmont. He's 10 of 19, so obviously he's a win type. Florin Giroux stays aboard. He's won locally. He drew well in the 5-hole. He's the likely favorite. So he's not really much of an ingenious pick, but he's not really my top pick. I kind of went off the board a little bit, and I kind of like, believe this or not, you're going to hear this for the first time on Three Broke Guys Handicapping, the Moroccan-bred Billabong for Pascal Barry and Flavian Pratt at 12 to 1 on the morning line. He beat 14 of 15 in a Grade 1 last time out. He's won at the distance, albeit on a synthetic surface, but he's won at the distance. He's 11 for 21 lifetime with 18 total in the money finishes from those 21 starts. And again, I mentioned Flavian Pratt already, and he's dropping 13 pounds from that last race. So I think he's got a decent enough shot. He's drawn outside, and he's a lot better. Okay, I see he's 10-1 morning line. I thought the number was 12. He's 10-1 on the morning line. I would still take that, and I think he's got a chance. And I see Rich has that first time Lasix circled on his form. It's an angle we've unfortunately learned the wrong way. The first time Lasix angle for foreign horses seems to be a very profitable one. And at 10-1, I'm willing to take a chance on this guy. Again, you're not going to hear too many Moroccan breds running in anywhere locally, for that matter. But that's why they call it the International Festival of Turf Racing in Arlington, in Chicago. I do want to mention one other horse, and that's the 11, O Prado Ole for Dale Romans, Corey Lannery. I think he's 12. He might be the 12-1 morning line. I guess I got the numbers mixed up. He's finished second locally in the Stars and Stripes in 2 different editions of the race. And he should have enough early speed to avoid some of the traffic problems that may hamper the other closers in the race. Obviously, this is going to be you would think it would be a closer's race, being that it's a mile and 11/16. But sometimes the speed actually can hang on that long. And the track profile of late had been playing to speed. If Rich can pull up the numbers for us, of late it had been playing to speed a lot more kindly than it has been earlier in the meet. With the rain and the rail position, I actually have to thank John C. Dooley, the track announcer at Arlington Park. We'd been corresponding via Twitter for the last couple of days, and I was asking him about the rail positions at Arlington Park. And I think what may have happened over the last little while is that the rail has not been at 0 because they've been trying to protect it for this day. So I would assume that the rail should be at 0 tomorrow. But when they move the rails out from 0, the races are generally run more favorably to speed horses. So that may account for what's happened recently. If you look at the meet totals, though, 68% of the horses have been winning from behind. So I guess we'll see tomorrow how it actually plays out. But I still think O Prado Ole has a pace advantage. Can he get this far? Who knows? But he should be in front, and again, he won't have to avoid the traffic problems that others may encounter from the back. But he's a B minus pick for me, actually. So I would really only go 2 deep, 5 and 10 on top in my pick 4 in the American St. Leger. Ray, what is your opinion of this oddly distanced race, I guess is the best thing I could call it?
Yeah, I tell you, it's like a mile and a half plus 3/16. It's like amazing. It's a long way to go.
It's a tough one.
And also a race without a Chad Brown horse. I like that. I did follow the favorite here, number 5, the big horse. Winner of 3 out of 4 this year, including the grade 2, the 2 Belmont Derby. The day for Bella Stakes Day, he took a 2-minute break, and he's back at it for a mile and 11/16 with Florian Giroux and Mike Makeup. He's pretty solid. I also mentioned your horse too, 11, O Prado O. He's a speed here, unless number 7, Rock the Professor, acts like a rabbit for the Ramses, for Generous Kitten, which could be. But he should be on the lead. I mentioned number 1, Generous Kitten. The Ramses have a horse here, tested for class, but probably need a pace meltdown, but has the rail. This is Mike Maker's other horse. He's 2 out of 3 for claiming wins, so you step it up here. And I mentioned number 9, Messi, 5-1. He was a slow gaining third in the Arlington handicap, won by Kasakri, who's in the million. He goes another half a mile here. And Graham Motion, a good tough trainer, and Jose Varela keeps them out. So I give him a shot too. So those would be my picks. I would go with the 5 as an A. I think I thought the 11 as an A also, and the 1 and the 9. So, Rich, we gotta say it's marathon time here.
It is, and strangely enough, I'm a huge fan of the Big Hoss. I caught wind of him a couple of years ago at Kentucky Downs, where they kind of have a strange course and they run strange, odd, long distances, and that's his specialty. That's what he does, 2 mile races. And so I was sold on him right from the very start. He was up there at the top line, but I couldn't help but wonder if maybe this is a race that's more suited to these European horses. And in fact, Clondale Warrior, I can't help but wonder if maybe this race is a little too short for him.
I noticed that myself.
If you look at his repertoire, this is a very solid horse. William Mullins bringing him over. Shamie Heffernan, top jock from over there on across the lake, so to speak. And again, a real solid turf type coming over from across the pond. And then I like the horse that Joe had already covered as well, Billabong, with our local guy Flavian Pratt aboard. And again, had beaten almost everybody home in a 16-horse race over there in a G1 in Qatar. This is one of those horses that travels everywhere. Italy, Qatar, France, seems to fire on every single surface. So I thought that was going to raise an option. In the end, I ended up kind of flipping mine and going 8-10 as my top 2 picks. So I'm going to go ahead and try and beat the Big Hoss. As much as I'm a big fan of his, I think he might go off a little bit short today, and I can't help but wonder if this will be the one chance that I get a chance to beat him at short odds with some of the Europeans. So 8-10, and I'm over but I'll get the 5 in there as my second pick. Joe, I believe, has the 5 and the 10 on his top line with the 11 underneath.
Mm-hmm.
Ray has the 5 and the 11 on his top line with the 1 and the 9 underneath. And I had the 8 and the 10 on top with the 5 underneath.
These horses come with passports, right?
Oh yeah, they're all checked out. We should be good. This is their day, the International Festival of
Stamped
Surf.
USA. Stamped USA.
All right, on to race number
Saratoga
7.
first.
This is the first of the 3 Grade 1s. It is the Secretariat Stakes, a Grade 1 going 1.25 miles on the turf. The purse is $450,000 for 3-year-olds only. 9 starters, and your morning line favorite is one of the 3 broke guys' first horses. He's just 3 years old, but Beach Patrol has now made 5 appearances, including our first show. He's in post number 9 for trainer Chad Brown and ridden by Florin Giroux. He is your 2-to-1 morning line favorite. Ray, I was disappointed that the 8 wasn't the favorite in my Secretariat, but I can't think of a better named horse to set it up for my buddy from Staten Island. Go ahead, tell us what you think of the Secretariat.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Beat Patrol. I mean, his last 2 races have been very strong. He American Turf race. He just got beat by Camelot Kitten, which I had. Chased Catch a Glimpse in the Penn Mile and the Belmont Derby. So he's been running well in some good races. Chasing some good horses. Chad Brown probably stayed long with this horse, so it's a good spot for him. I use him. I used the number 2, American Patriot, 5-to-1. I found this to be a weird combination here with Pletcher and William Buick. I guess all the other jockeys are like not available. You know, like I found this very strange.
Saratoga.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. Well, he's up aboard, so. And he won his last 2, including Grade 3, the Kent in Delaware. It's a good test for him. He only had 1 horrible race in the American Turf race. He just, like he says there, stepped slow and didn't run. But other than that, he's been good. He's been 5 out of 6 to money, 3 wins. So the only thing, he picks up some pounds here, and he's in a Grade 1, so it's gonna be a good test for him. We'll go with the number 1, Cherry Wine, the Triple Crown horse, who's now. They don't know what to do with him, so he had run on the turf as a maiden. So you know what? Put him back on the turf and see if he can have a second career on the turf in the second half of the year. Because I guess his Triple Crown options and facing all these horses, he can't beat them. So go somewhere else. He's 12-to-1, and he might run well here. I will mention one long. Kind of like a B pick here, Surgical Strike number 7. I think he'll appreciate the amount in the quarter. He won the Arlington Classic on the yielding turf, so if it's fast, I mean, Doesn't serve much well there. But if it's firm, I mean, yielding, he might be okay. I picked up because of his closing kick with the distance. Uh, what surprised me, he didn't get much support in the Belmont Derby, being 24-1 with Jose Ortiz, the leading jockey. So I don't know. That day he didn't get much support, but I think he can close it if the pace is really hot. So that's how I would go with 9, with the 2, 1, and 7 as a B pick. So Joe, we gotta say Secretariat. They have a race for him. So
Yeah, he'd be 1 and 9 in this spot.
yeah.
Anyway, he'd be 1 to 1,000 actually in this spot. Probably even if you were alive today. Anyway, I went my top two on the top line. I went with the same two you went with. I actually like American Patriot a little bit more. I actually had a chance to watch the Kent before we did the show today, about an hour ago, and that race he got a nice rail run. He sat behind the leader, and the leader was actually ridden by Giroux that day at Delaware, and he was actually able to run by him pretty easily. The horse was 17-1. I'm not sure exactly how much class that horse actually had. Obviously, he wasn't given much of a chance, but the winner did hold the second. I'm sorry, the speed horse did hold on for second. He gets a good draw, and all he's got to do to get over to the rail again is clear Cherry Wine, who's notoriously a slow starter anyway. So he's probably likely to get that same trip he got again last time. He's been drilling solidly at Saratoga, and as you mentioned, Ray, Buick's a world-class rider. I can't knock Beach Patrol. He's the only one in the field who's placed in a graded stake above grade 3. The only problem I have with him is it seems as if this is his bugaboo. It was at the Belmont Derby. He was wide that day, and based on where he's drawn again, the likelihood is unless he drops back a little further than they want, he's probably going to be wide again. So, given that he's 2-1, a short price, and may even be shorter at post time, again I included him. I'm just afraid that he's got another wide trip in him, whereas American Patriot might benefit from having a rail skimming trip, and that might be the difference between winning and losing. Plus, American Patriot's 5-1 in the morning line, and Beach Patrol's 2-1. I also want to give another chance to Long Island Sound. Maybe he'll do better second time out in the U.S. and second time on Lasix. And Aidan O'Brien has been notoriously good at the Arlington Festival of Racing, so you can't dismiss anything he sends out there. But the price to me is a little bit short on him as well. So top line I went 2-9 American Patriot and Beach Patrol, and underneath went with the 8 Long Island Sound. And now I'm going to send it over to my buddy Rich in Murrieta for his opinion on the Secretariat. Rich?
How much of a shame on this show would it have been if I had been the first person to talk about Long Island Sound after thinking that you two would be picking up on that horse all over the place? Thinking of, Ray's just like across Long Island Sound, and Joe, don't you come from like Long Island? And
well, no, we from Brooklyn, but basically it's a lot closer than Temecula or Murrieta.
Yeah.
All right, so I alluded to the fact that Beach Patrol, he's been on the show. Again, this makes his 5th time he actually shows up on our show, which shows that he must be good, and that we've been doing this for a while now, actually. So he's been on there all the way back to his Santa Anita race when he kind of popped up out here outside of Gulfstream. And we've played him a few times. I think we hit one of the pick 4s that he was in one of the days, although I don't think he won that day. So I ended up settling on Long Island Sound. So Aidan O'Brien, I was thinking that maybe I should order an Aidan O'Brien bobblehead doll so I could have him here for these big turf days and Breeders' Cup Day. I have my Bob Bradford doll. But I decided to settle on him, giving a little bit of forgiveness for that first try over here. The horse came out 3 in a row. It's Aidan O'Brien. What more do you need to say? It's turf. Again, Shamie Heffernan is a top jockey from over there. So I just kind of settled on the connections and played that. And I have Beach Patrol. And in hearing you guys, I think you guys have talked me back onto having American Patriot. So I was trying to get by in this race. I had thought that American Patriot being Todd Pletcher, I figure everybody's going to pick up on the William Buick angle at some point in time. I thought would go off at a lot shorter than 5-1 coming off those last 2 wins in a row. But I had the 2 and the 9 underneath my 8. I had 8 on top with 2 9 underneath. I think Ray actually has the 9 on top, the 2 on top, and the 1 on top. So 9, 2, and 1 is A picks, and the 7 is a B pick.
Yeah.
And I believe Joe has the 2 and the 9 as A picks, and the 8 as a B pick.
Correct.
All right. Mm-hmm. One back. All right, and we are up to race number 8. It is the Beverly D Stakes. It's a Grade 1. They're going a mile and 3/16 on the turf. $700,000 is the purse for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards. 14 starters, and your morning line favorite in Lucky Post number 13. If you're a Game of Thrones fan, and I am, you gotta love the name. C. Khaleesi from the Chad Brown barn and ridden by Florin Giroux. Again, Florin had them all tonight. 7-5 on the morning line. Joe, I think Westeros has a better chance against Daenerys Targaryen than these folks have against C. Khaleesi and the Beverly D. What do you say?
Actually, well, I'm not a Game of Thrones fan. I don't watch the show, but I'm a fan more of C. Khaleesi, and she's as close to a single as I would find on this card today. Desita flattered the win that she had last time over C. Khaleesi by winning the Diana at Saratoga last time out at 6-1. She's multiple graded placed overseas, drilling consistently at Saratoga, and stop me if you've heard this before. Chad Brown is pretty good on the turf. Florin Giroux is pretty good on the turf. So why am I going to try and beat that? I understand the draw is not the ideal place for her, but I just think she's better than these, and I think she wins. What I will mention somebody who I kind of like underneath, and again, it's more the track profile angle that it's been playing the speed lately, and I had mentioned the 9 Zepessa for Jersey Joe Bravo making his way to Chicago for the Mike Stidham charge at 15-1 on the morning line. She seems to be the most consistent of the early speed types, and maybe she's just getting better at 4 years old. She's by the same sire as Catch a Glimpse by City Zip, so I'm not sure the distance is an issue. I remember they mentioned it the last time City Zip ran at 1.25 miles, but she kind of passed that test with flying colors. So I don't think City Zip being the sire is a problem. The horse has been drilling well locally, and she's won here on synthetic surface back in May of 2015 in her debut. So obviously she has some kind of fondness for the surface. Whether she likes that turf course enough, we'll know soon enough. But she would be underneath for me. So basically, I'd single the 13 C. Khaleesi and use Zepessa for the Stidham Bravo combo at 15-1 underneath, and I might even put that exacta together to see if I can get some money that way. But other than that, it's going to be pretty plain and pretty chalky. So I will send it over to Staten Island. You need a lozenge, sir?
Yeah, it's allergies are killing me this week. You know, it's funny that from these 14 horses, 6 of them are 30-1. I'm like, wow. But this morning line guy he really jacked up those prices. I'm with you. I'm C. Khaleesi 13. I'm most likely as good as a single here. Her 2 races have been good. I mean, the one the Ships at Bay and second in the New York Handicap. Grade 2 event. The distance, no problem. You know, she's a solid 1.5 mile, 3/8 horse. Running Grade 1s in France. In the money, 8 out of 9, 3 wins. So, you know, Giroux, Brown, you know, they're on the turf, so they're going to be tough. I'd like to mention 12, Falling Fire. Been closing at shorter distances, just missing. Got the distance last time and one drawn away. It remains to be seen who gets the first run in this race. This might be the one. Either 12 or 13. Graham Motion be using Valvita a lot, so they click at 18%. I mentioned number 6, Coolmore, at 6-1. Show good speed to sit behind Catch a Glimpse and weaken to third in the Beaumont Oaks. She'll benefit from the first race in the U.S. and with a good controlled pace, you know, could wire the field. You know, speed's always dangerous. Yeah, you know, keep an eye on that. Who's that guy? O'Donoghue. You want a big horse here? It's Mary Pop, 30-1. Gaining the low ground at the same distance in the modesty handicap on the same course. Adds blinkers and has Pratt, who's good in the turf, 21%. So those are my horses there. 13 as an A, and then the other B's will be 12, 6, and 3. So that's how I look at it. Rich, Beverly Hills, no, Beverly D.
No.
Is that your
Beverly
race, the
Hills.
Beverly Hills?
Yeah, they run that here.
Yeah, and I really wanted to try and get by the favorite in this race, but as you can see, I mean, I'm a Game of Thrones fan, so for as long as I've got a name connection to the horse. Ticalisi, that last race, though, I don't even think the race caller caught it, enough there. She bobbled at the start, and the thought on was just absolutely hemmed in a 7-horse race trying to get out. So had a real miserable trip there. I just don't want to try and beat a Chad Brown 4-inch Drew combination, or I don't want to try and toss it at this point in time. And I believe Ray caught on to my. It's funny. There's actually a couple of Aidan O'Brien's in here. So he caught one of them as Coolmore, and then the other one is all the way buried down in post number 1. Again, I don't think that's much of a pop in a mile and a quarter race. Is Ballydoyle, O'Brien's other one, and that one's got Jamie Hernan on it. This horse did have one try here in the United States. If you're willing to forgive, that first in the U.S. trying to get their feet on him. The horse was real solid in all the G1s leading up to that race. Again, a couple of big fields finishing behind Minding here. Another 16-horse field, only 3 1/4 lengths off. And so Ballydoyle kind of has me concerned down there in post number 1 as an opportunity for Aidan O'Brien to, again, take his little bobblehead doll. I'll have to check on Amazon or maybe eBay to see if I can get a bobblehead doll for that. And then Ray caught my other one that would have been a bomb pick if I was going deep in this race, which I'm not. I thought 13 would be my connection. But I actually like Mary Pop. Had won 2 in a row overseas. One at St. Cloud, one at Chantilly. One was a 12-horse field, the other was an 8-horse field. So, yeah, not the huge fields that we sometimes hear about from Europe, but solid fields. First and second, just the 1/4. And then 5th in the Modesty, which turned out to be a really solid affair. As a matter of fact, all 3 of those horses are coming back in this race. So I thought, again, if you're willing to give a little bit of forgiveness, and for those of us in California, the West Coast players who like the first-time Pratt angle, well, look who pops up in Chicago on Saturday. Clavian's out there with Michael Fulham. So that would have been my pick, would have been 13-1 on top. And, again, if you're looking for one of those 30-1 bombs that Mr. Gerardo identified, then I would go with the 3.
Yeah.
I believe Ray was on the 13 on top, and underneath he had the 3, the 6, and the 12. And Joe had the 13 on top, and he had the 9 underneath.
Mm-hmm.
Right. All right, on to race number 9, the feature, the big one, the Arlington Million. It's a grade 1. The purse is $1 million for 3-year-olds and upwards. 12 starters, and your morning line favorite is in post number 12. It's the Invader from Europe. Twister, trained by Aidan O'Brien and ridden by William Buick, is on the morning line at 7-2. Kind of a tasty price there, 7-2. All right, Ray. I think the Arlington Million is a bit like the Ryder Cup. It's the Americans versus the Euros. Can the Yankees defend their turf, or is this like 1812 all over again?
Well, I'm going to go here for number 10, Wake Forest. Actually, coming back in distance, you can classify this. Could you classify this as a USA? I mean, once, not really. Right? Well,
he's a tweener.
Okay, tweener. Coming back in distance off small layoff, retired at the Million. First time tried in this country. Didn't fire out 8 months. He ran last year. Then he laid him off for 8 months. And he won the Man of War, the United Nations, ran well. He's still a good trip here on the outside. And you got Pratt. There you go, first time Pratt. For Chad Brown. What else can I say? We had this horse in the Man of War, so, and it's a solid horse. So, like him. Number 11, Water Purple.
Show a few times as well.
Huh? Yeah, that's right. Yep. So Waterpool, another horse that we've been following, and it's like four in a row, right? Yeah. So this is the speed horse here, winner of the American Derby on his course last year. He's had a nice 4-year-old season, and he's coming off the United Nations, the Grade 1 at Monmouth. And there he is again, Florian Giroux, Mark Casse. These guys are going to have a good time on the turf. Uh, 13, Deauville, we'll mention him. 6-1. He won the Grade 1 Belmont Derby. He could set a nice trip here. We're on the outside. He probably, he's got actually the class here to run in his Grade 1 and Grade 2s. He did over there in Europe. So, Aidan O'Brien brings him over here, and he's going to run okay. That's a nice prime power, too, 176. You can't forget the Pizza Man, the old veteran Arlington Park horse. He's 10 for 14 on this course. He's got Mike Smith. Can't ignore him. Hasn't been running well lately, but for a time might be catching up to him. But he did win last year's. So he's the defending champion. So we got a defending champion here, and he's 10-1. So it's a good price if you like him to go back to back. Those are my picks there: 10, 11, 13, and 5. Joe, the million is yours.
I wish it were. To be honest, after hearing Ray's analysis and knowing my own, thank God we're probably. I think we're going to have to go pretty deep in this spot, and we're probably going to have to single C. Khaleesi and hope that one of the Aidan O'Brien runners doesn't win. A couple of the horses Ray mentioned that I will mention. My two top picks are horses that he did mention. I like the 13. I like Deauville a lot. That ride that Jamie Spencer gave that horse last time out was terrific. I think I remember mentioning it in the recap that I did for us. It was, and he was 6-1 that day. He was the least fancied of the Aidan O'Brien runners, and Aidan O'Brien wouldn't run this horse back so quickly if the horse wasn't doing well. He is 3-year-old facing his eldest for the first time, but he's getting 6 pounds from all of them. The only thing I'm concerned about, and I think it's a fascinating race from a tactical standpoint, because I'm not sure exactly who's going to. I think I have an idea who's going to be on the lead, but there could be anywhere from two horses on the front end to 5 horses on the front end, which would make things a lot more interesting. But anyway, I think Deauville's good enough to win this in this spot, and I'd take 6-1 if I could get it. I like the 11 World Approval. He finally got his Grade 1 at the United Nations last time out. He's been working great at the spa, and Florian Giroux stays aboard. And getting 4-1 on him is not a bad way to go. And he can run either from behind or up close. If you look at the race at the Fairgrounds, he finished second to Take the Stand, who's also running in this race coming from way back. So he doesn't necessarily have to be on the lead. He can be far back. I'm assuming that Florian Giroux is going to know, since he's in every race that we've talked about so far. He'll know where the good spots on the turf are, and he'll know where he needs to be. So those would be my A choices. But I also want to mention a couple of B horses, actually 3. As a bomb, I like the 6, Casaquy. I remember mentioning him last time one of the times we've spoken about him before. He should sit. I expect Dubai Sky to be on the lead, and I expect the 6 to sit right outside him. And again, because we don't know exactly how the course is going to play, we'll see. But he should sit a nice trip outside, and he should be on the lead at some point in this race, I would think, unless he's swallowed up by somebody who decides to make an early move. He's 3 for 5 at the distance, and he's been in the exacta every time he's gone 1.25 miles. So if you have a bomb and you want to put him in underneath, or you might, if you think we need to go deep, and I think we will probably need to go deep, I kind of like having a 20-1 shot on the ticket. I also want to mention the 9, Mondialiste, who's been in his 2 U.S. starts, or 2 domestic starts, 1 in Woodbine and 1 at Belmont. He was terrific. He won the Woodbine Mile. Actually, he won the Woodbine Mile, and then he lost to Tepin at the Breeders' Cup Mile. So you can't really fault what he's done domestically. And the last race he ran was a big improvement, and I think it's possible he's doing well because, again, he's another one. He's turning around in 3 weeks. And he's shipping from York to come over here in 3 weeks. 3 or 4. Actually, it's closer to 4. Oh, actually, no, it's probably about 3 weeks turnaround. So, and he's 8-1 on the morning line. The connections are kind of unknown at least to us here, but I would think that the horse is really the thing here, and I think he's got a decent enough shot. And Wake Forest is on my ticket as well, but he kind of disappointed me in the stretch run of the United Nations, and I'm kind of wondering if it was the course, if he just had a bad day. Again, I'd like to use him, but being that he's one of the lower prices on the board, he'd be one I'd be willing to take off the ticket before I'd leave it on. Again, top picks are the 13 Deauville, 11 World Approval, and underneath the 6, 9, and 10. So obviously this is a very contentious Arlington Million, Rich. So give us something that we haven't heard before.
Yeah. The interesting about our show is that after a while, you come to understand how each show is going to handicap, and I'll be honest with you guys in the audience, had Ray not picked World Approval on his ticket, I would have pulled it up my laptop and gone home tonight. We picked that horse every single time we handicapped together, so I knew you were going to be on that horse. I did not go. He's a very solid horse. Yeah. I did not go with him. I think I did write down here that we did have one consensus pick at least.
There you go.
Because I also went Deauville. While you guys were on there and things like that, I've been shopping on Amazon.com trying to find an Aidan O'Brien bobblehead doll so I can be ready for next year's Arlington Million on the show. But I had thought that this horse looked sensational winning the Belmont Derby. That was the 1 week I think I've missed on the show. I think that's my one, if I'm not mistaken, July 9th, the week after the call center opened. So
You're right.
I was absentee. I did not get to handicap that week, so I didn't get to see the forms for that week and things like that. But I did take a look at the Belmont Derby for that week. So I thought he looked sensational. And as a 3-year-old, getting a little bit of a weight break over Trister, I thought might just give him just that little notch that he needs to get over the top. Unfortunately, I couldn't toss Trister. He's got that line next to him for that thing that Joe brought up earlier today, something that we heard about last year. So in addition to being a very solid G1 type horse from overseas that loves the turf and kind of fires at every single location that he's at. So I only went too deep in this one. I only had the 13 and the 12. All the horses that you heard Joe and Ray mentioning, all very solid types. I thought World Approval looked really, really good for this race. Wake Forest has been on the show almost as much as Beach Patrol has. And the Cassequee, I remember Joe having that horse when he scored. We would have been remiss if we hadn't mentioned the Pizza Man in Chicago, for God's sakes. He's like a local hero. So a very contentious race. Again, I went 13-12. Ray went, I believe, Ray, did you go 10, 11, 13, and then 5 underneath?
Yeah.
8 pick. And Joe, you got 2 8 picks. I think you got the 13 and the 11.
Yeah, 11, 13 on the top line.
All right. So give me one moment here while I bring up our. I'll go ahead and try and bring up our.
Sure. You need me to fill a couple minutes?
Go for it, please.
Okay. I'm not sure how many people are aware, but if you're not, you'll find out now. There is an actual wager tomorrow. It's the Arlington Million and the 4-Star Dave special daily double at Saratoga. I was unaware of the wager until I want to say Thursday when I found out about it, and I actually asked Mr. Torado to send me the PPs for the 4-Star Dave, so I'm going to fill a couple of minutes here. Like I said, my top picks, the 11 and 13, would be, I'm going to do a crisscross daily double wager, so I'm going to go 11 and 13 in the Arlington Million. And in the 4-Star Dave at Saratoga, I actually kind of like an oldie but a goodie, and he's a local favorite, number 7, King Creasa. I think he's got a pace advantage for Irad Ortiz, who is if I'm not mistaken, the leading jockey at Saratoga. And the David Dong charge is 15-1 on the morning line. I think he's got a pace advantage. I thought the race used to be 1.16 miles, which is now a mile. So
Yeah.
I kind of like him at 15-1. That's a pretty juicy number. I also kind of like Ring Weekend for Graham Motion. He's a little bit more reasonable on the morning line at 3-1. He was wide in his return. He had a 14-month layoff during that rainstorm on Preakness Day. He ran pretty well, and he was wide both turns and finished second to take over Target, who's also in this race. And he's done well at Saratoga. He did win a race and finish second in 2014. He's won 200,000 up there. So my crisscross daily double would be 11 and 13 in the Arlington Million with the 7 and 10 in the 4-star Dave at Saratoga. So Rich, I see the templates up. Let's get moving on our Pick 4 ticket.
All right.
Here we go. Think like Richard Dreyfuss and let it ride. What do you like?
You want to play that again?
I'm trying to
We should just play it every week.
I gotta get my timing down, and that way I'll get the sequence up so we can watch it together. All right. So
Go ahead, you take your own survey.
I see some consensus here around the 5. I see the 5 on top, and then I see that you and Ray. Let's see. Ray's got the 11, you've got the 10, I've got the 10, and I also had the 8 up on top over there, and I had the 5 underneath. So, do we want to do something like 10, 11?
But now you had the 8 on the top line also, huh?
That was me, right? Right.
I believe so.
That's the other Euro, right?
the other Euro, the one cutting back from the hurdle races.
Yeah.
2 5/16 miles or whatever it was.
Exactly. I was just trying to get by the big hoss because I've got some chalk later on where I went with
Clement Glory.
and also Sister and Deauville.
Why don't we start? Well, we know the 5 and the 10 are there. We can put the 8 and the 11 on the bottom line and see and come back to that.
Okay.
Let's at least start with that.
All right. In race number 7, I see the 2. I see the 9. Let's see. Who's the 8? Because that's my pick.
That's Long Island Sound. That's Long Island Sound.
Okay. 2, 8, 9. And I also see the 1 on the top line for Ray. Is that cherry line?
Yeah.
All right.
We put it on the bottom.
It could be an A or B. Depends.
Okay.
I would say let's put it underneath.
Yeah, on the bottom. Yeah.
At least for now.
So in race number 8, we've got C. Khaleesi.
Mm-hmm.
Got a whole ton of underneath picks, so let's see here we go.
Yeah.
Well, 1, 3, 6, 9, 12.
Oof.
In the million.
So it looks like a superfecta box. 13 with all the rest of those.
We've got the 13. We've got the 11. And I see here. And I've got the 12.
Mm-hmm. Bingo!
There you go. Oof.
10, 11, 12.
Box cars.
4 times 3 is 12.
You're rolling dice.
It's actually a $12 pick 4. Right? 4 times 3?
4 by 3 by 2 by 1. If we only go that deep, that would be 24. That's correct.
50 cents, actually, it would be a $12.
Right.
Well, yeah,
That's right.
12.
That's right. So do we want to go deeper in it? If we're going to single C. Khaleesi, we can go deeper in another leg if anybody wants to go. I know Ray had the 8 in the first leg, Rich, and Ray had the 11. If we want to go that deep so we can stay alive, that would be 4 by 3 by 4, which would be 48. So that would really be a $24 ticket if we put in 5, 8, 10, 11 in race 6. Four by 3 by 1 by 4.
Do we have any consensus on someone besides C. Khaleesi? Because we could double that race up and go sit to $24 as well. If we put the second choices, we use either the 9, the 3, the 6, the 12.
Well, you guys both mentioned Coolmore.
Coolmore, yeah.
So I mean, it's either double up there or try to stay alive to get to that point. I can go either way. Coolmore is the O'Brien. Oh, hang on. Let me take a quick look at my PPs. I got them in front of me.
Yeah, I think I like the other. I actually think I like the other O'Brien, the Bally Doyle, a little better. The one.
You know what's funny, Rich? I looked at that horse and I was like, God, if she had run at all, she just didn't make a step that day at Belmont. That was the only thing that really concerned me. I was like, man, she just didn't. She didn't fire, period. Yeah, I mean, I understand once you're beaten 10 lengths, it doesn't matter whether you lose by 20. But I mean, at 2-1 to not even get a sniff. I mean and the thing was she drew well. It's not like she drew purse 13 where I could say, okay, maybe I can excuse that. That race was just really bad. Like I said, I'd rather go with if we're going to do that, I would say the Coolmore would give you a better chance, but I don't know. That's just my opinion. I just wish she would have run at all, and she just didn't pick up her feet. Period.
If you're looking for the rebuttal from me on that one, and I'm assuming that you are.
Oh no!
No. That was her first race in the United States. I've seen this before. I've seen plenty of European horses that have come over here, and for whatever reason, they don't like it on their first one. Again, this is more of that faith in Aidan O'Brien. So when I looked at her resume prior to that race, that one lone start in the United States, and the fact that he's got the confidence to bring her back and give her one more shot at this, that's all I need is faith in Aidan O'Brien.
If I remember right, I think I liked her that day. I'd have to go back to look at my notes. I actually think I liked her that day.
Yeah, I heard that name. Yeah.
But I'm not. I'd have to look back to see. Like I said, and I'm all for forgiveness. I get it.
Yeah.
But
well, you've seen me do it before. I mean,
sure.
It's a matter of do you believe in tossing a race or not? If you don't, and you come back and you say, well, no, I'm gonna put margins on there. It's like, yeah, that's not tossing the race. That's kind of using it. Sometimes they just throw up a clunker for whatever reason. It happens in horse racing. It happens to the best of them, and in particular, it happens when you're shipping overseas to a new track. Didn't like the Belmont turf for whatever reason and things like that. So again, it's Aidan O'Brien. It's kind of that faith in the trainer bringing his horse back, and the races before that indicate to me that this is a pretty solid racehorse.
And she did come home.
I had C. Khaleesi as.
She did come home first. Catch a glimpse, so for the half. She was flying.
Well, I'm not saying she was going to beat. I don't think anybody was going to beat Catch a Glimpse that day anyway.
Yeah.
That's not
it
anything. There's no bearing on this.
It hasn't been a regular thing that happens.
Yeah, like I said,
we can go with the 12. We've got a $12 pick for this right up on the screen. I don't have any issues with it. Like I said, I just didn't know if you wanted to go deeper, like you said, to try and get there, or did you want to double up in that race and not just put all of our eggs in a C. Khaleesi basket. She's got a little bit of a wide post, and again, some of these Euro, the Euro ones that are coming over for this turf festival. This is their thing, this is one of the things that they point to every single year. You can talk to all the Europeans about that. They don't give a darn about American racing like that. There's just a few tracks and a few days that you'll look out there like, hey, what's going on? Did everybody get on the planes today like that? It's like, yeah, Arlington Million is one of those days. the Woodbine Mile, the Rico Woodbine Mile Day is known. So there's just some days where they load up their planes. As a matter of fact, this is one of the few times that we've talked about Aidan O'Brien this much on our show. And he's kind of like a Bob Baffert of Europe. On grass.
Well, yeah, well, obviously. Because I remember a long time ago, Bob Baffert used to be a throwout on grass for me.
He's gotten a little better, but not dramatically so. And he actually has a whole host of better clients. But
yeah, no.
Do we want to stick with this stick forward? Do we want to go heavier in the first race instead of just using the 5 and the 10? Do we also want to bring in the 8 and the 11? Or do we want to try and use Coolmore in race number 8?
For me to pick the 11 on top, this is a horse that everything has to go right as far as the pace, and most likely won't win. That's like taking a chance. 12-1, wide of field, surprise, surprise. So I would prefer, my thing is to leave her down. Not put her back on the ticket. So, I don't know how you feel about the 8. So, I mean, I'm okay leaving the 11 off the ticket. That's just a shot for someone to wire the field and, surprise everybody. So, that's my opinion.
Yeah, I was okay with leaving it that way. I mean, initially when I used the 8, I was trying to get by the big hoss. So I was trying to beat with the €2. We're going to use the big hoss. So I'm okay with just using the 10, which I know showed up on Joe's top line as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Fine.
Yeah.
I'm good with it.
I'm fine with it the way it is.
I mean, maybe we could add on race 8, but we have to,
Well, that's the question. Do we add Coolmore? Do we add Ballydoyle? I'm just thinking about it out. I'm thinking about the 4x3.
Well, there were a couple other ones too. Right? There's the 12 and the 3.
36
and the 9. Joe, didn't you have one as well?
Yeah, like I said, I thought I kind of think what Ray thinks of his 11 in that other race. I think she's getting better. I don't think she's in C. Khaleesi's class. It was more a question of will it be where the track's playing to speed, and if it does, she's got the best chance of the known speed types to win.
Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm.
And if we and Ray, just so that you said, if we added both Ballydoyle and Coolmore, the ticket would become 36. You're basically tripling the ticket.
Okay.
So I mean, like I said, I'm fine with it the way it is, and I'm fine if it doesn't really affect me either way whether we move from this or not.
Okay. Awesome. Well, we can leave it this way. Awesome.
All right. So 5, 10, 2, 8, 9, 13, 10, 11, 12, 13. Alrighty, so that's 6 by 4, 24 combinations, $12. Awesome.
You guys?
Yep. Sounds good to me.
Yeah, if we had one horse in that race, we could agree on, but it's just too many. Yeah.
Yeah, all I know is that million race is it's wide open.
That was super tough. Yeah. I only went 2 deep, and I could have gone 6.
Yeah, I could eat. I mean, I went 2, and I mentioned 3 others, and there was at least one other horse that I wanted to mention that didn't, and I didn't even include the morning line favorite. So I could easily have gone 7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But what's funny is, I know I want to say which race was it? There was one race where I think it's the big hoss race. It's the first leg. There's 2 horses that are that are eligible for non-winners of one lifetime. I'm like, what are they doing here? Hart Hills Road and Tobias. Both Hard Hills Road just ran a non-winners 50,000 claimer last time out.
Yeah.
And Tobias just ran in a non-winners 2 lifetime allowance race last time out, and I was like, oh my God, what's going on here?
That's a great 3, so.
I get it, but
Yeah.
where?
Not too much of a
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I want you. I guess they just wanted to be in the program or on Millionaires Row.
$100,000. You get some of that price.
Maybe they're running for 5th. I'm guessing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Wow, like I said, that surprised me. But I guess there aren't a lot of a mile and 11/16 races to run in the United States.
They want to see their horse for 3 minutes on the screen.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right, guys. You got anything else before we turn it off tonight?
That's it.
No. Hopefully, our weather person will join us next week.
We'll look out for it.
But other than that, no, I think we're good. Hope everyone has a good night and good luck at Arlington tomorrow.
All right, for those of you watching, if you enjoyed the show, we will be back next week when we get together and take a look at another exciting card. It's going to be the Pacific Classic from Del Mar, and Joe and I plan to be there. All right, gentlemen, that's all the time we've got for tonight. It's always a pleasure to handicap with the two of you. For Joe English and Ray Torado, I'm Rich Sharp. Thank you for watching Three Broke Guys Handicapping, and good luck and good night.
Auf Wiedersehen.
All right. Good night. Good time.